all the Montessori curriculum materials are developed from least to most complex, and they're developed for specific hands-on activities. So the children can master the works with the vocabulary and the hands-on application, so they internalize them long before they move to a paper pencil task.
Welcome to the DMF podcast, where you will find great conversations with interesting people who have been called to serve. We'll meet impactful charities, dive deep into pressing health topics, and learn from servant leaders who are working to see, be, and spread light. At the end of each episode, we hope you're inspired to realize that you have your own unlimited potential to change the world for the better. Join us as we work to create a region of the healthiest, most purpose-driven people on the planet. Welcome back to the DMF podcast. I'm your host, Whitney Isaacson. Thanks for joining me in another conversation as we're highlighting a health issue that's impacting us today. So the other day, I was thinking about all the different childhood education options that are out there and how difficult it can be for parents to find what's best for their child. Have you ever considered that there are other methods to education versus the what is now traditional public school model? As I was looking into this more, I came across Montessori education, and I was shocked that I didn't know much about it considering it's been around since 1907. So I wanted to bring in a local expert in Montessori education and learn more about how kids are thriving in this different approach to childhood education. I'm excited to introduce Camille Brandt, the executive director at Children's Montessori. She'll be joining us to dive deep into this topic. Children's Montessori is working to educate and enrich the whole child. So whether you're looking to learn more about childhood education or just hoping for an uplifting message, I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So let's get into it. All right. Well, welcome, Camille. We are so excited to be sitting down with you on our podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, thank you for all that you do. And I do want to ask, what are you most passionate about in your work?
Oh my goodness. So many things, but I think what I'm most passionate about is really providing children with the very best early education experience that we can. Children are precious, they're capable, they're amazing people, and I'm just continuously in awe of them, and I'm so honored to get to work with them and to work with all the adults who are passionate about early education as well.
Yes, I'm always blown away by how intelligent children are.
Oh my goodness. Today alone, we were studying giraffes, parts of a giraffe. 3 and 4-year-olds then scurried away with pencil and paper, and they came back with their amazing renditions of the parts of a giraffe, and then they painted them, and these were amazing, amazing drawings, and then they were talking about them, and just their imagination paired with their new vocabulary. It's amazing to see what they can accomplish when they're provided with instruction at their level and materials that are appropriate and just honoring their intellect and their curiosity. It's just beautiful to witness.
Wow, that's really cool and really good insight into what a day in the life is over at Children's Montessori.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll dive into that more in a little bit. But for anyone listening, can you just give an overview of why you guys exist, what your mission is, and the work you guys are doing and the kids you're serving?
Absolutely. We were founded in 2007, started as 2 classrooms in South Fargo. We began with Montessori because we, and when I say we, I mean my family, really saw the importance of that early experience for children age 2 to 5. At that time, there was a bit of a gap in the early education services in Fargo, and being educators, we decided to put our whole heart and soul into the profession of early education and to develop the Montessori schools that we have today over time. Was our primary goal. We wanted to make Montessori accessible to as many families as possible who wanted it. We chose Montessori because of its hands-on curriculum. It's developmentally beautifully scaffolded for children to grow their skills over time. It's individualized. it's inclusive, and it's rigorous. The Montessori curriculum really does honor that intellect and curiosity that very young children have that other curriculums don't necessarily reflect. Mm-hmm. So in a Montessori curriculum, very young children are working with big ideas and big words related to the galaxy, the universe, biomes, what do plants and animals need to live? They're learning skills for early literacy and mathematics. It's just wonderful to see them ask the questions and then dive into the work. And a child's work is their play. In the Montessori environment, the environment itself is so beautifully organized. It is almost a second teacher, and children have so much freedom to explore and to grow their interests. Teachers are guides who give individual lessons and small group lessons, and the environment itself is just so peaceful because everyone is focused on what they're interested in. There's very few transitions, and so children can grow their attention span. It's such a peaceful way to teach and to learn.
Wow, it sounds like a great foundation of education for a developing child, but also mixed in with free play. Mm-hmm. Wow, mm-hmm. I'm very interested. So how many kids are you guys serving, or what does it look like? How many locations do you guys have right now?
Right now we have 4 locations. And as I said, we grew from 2 classrooms. We had so many people just calling, do you have openings? When will you have openings? And so we grew into spaces and we added spaces. So right now we have 4 locations. One of them is a dedicated, beautiful infant center, Bella Terra, which is led by the amazing Miss Lexi. We have a beautiful school at 45th for 2s and 3s, 4s, and 5s, led by Miss Liz, who's just beloved. She's almost a legend in Fargo. We have our 32nd Avenue campus, which has 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and our elementary program and a kindergarten program led by Miss Sydney, who has just been a joyful addition to our administrative team. And Miss Tessa has helped quite a bit this year. And our downtown location, which is Children's House. But exciting news, because our elementary program has just been so wonderfully received, and families are looking for a way to extend their child's education into the K-5 experience. Our downtown location is actually being transformed into a K-5 elementary school. The teachers met and they've come up with the name of it, which is Bellomondo, which is Beautiful World. Oh, our infant center is Beautiful Earth, and our elementary is Beautiful World because it's bigger, because now they're bigger children. And so that's going to be just a lovely K-5 building. Yes. We're really excited about the work that our teachers have done. We really rely on our staff to contribute, and we want to honor their own dreams, their own professional ambitions. And we like to see our schools grow with our staff and with our families.
Wow. Well, congratulations, because that is a huge win for you guys. And
thank you.
It's really neat to see the way you guys are meeting and filling a gap in our community with early education development and education programs. So going back to Montessori education, just in general, are there pillars that you guys follow of these are the tools we use to help a child develop? These are the pathways we follow. What does that foundation look like?
That is such a good question. If you were to look in old textbooks, if you were to look at a picture of Anne Frank at her, in her young childhood, you see pictures of her in a Montessori classroom. And if you were to look at the materials in that classroom, you would see those same materials in our classroom today. The materials have been developed according to developmental science of how children learn best through hands-on, sequential, direct instruction, while incorporating constructivism, where children can come to their own ideas, come to their own understanding. It's not unusual after you study a globe or a map of the world with a very young child for them to look at it and say, it looks like this used to be one big piece of land. And they feel like they're the ones who discovered Pangea, because they've made those connections. It's just beautiful to see. All the Montessori curriculum materials are developed from least to most complex, and they're developed for specific hands-on activities. So the children can master the works with the vocabulary and the hands-on application, so they internalize them long before they move to a paper pencil task. So if they're working on addition, they're moving objects around and they're using the symbols and they're solving problems long before they're given a paper pencil task with addition on it. But when they get to those, they've done it with their hands, with their eyes. They've organized it. They've actually solved the problems themselves so often that when they get to a paper pencil task, it's the natural next step. So we move very beautifully from the concrete to the abstract, whereas in many curriculums, they begin with the abstract and they add some curriculum that's hands-on to augment it. Montessori is very much the opposite. The other part of the Montessori experience for young children is, of course, the environment. It's beautiful, lots of natural light, lots of natural materials. There's really no plastics in the rooms. We also have a lot of plants, photographs of the children at home with their families and friends. The environment itself should be for the children, and that's why it's called the children's house. It's really their home. It's their place of learning. And just like any home, there are expectations that we teach. We walk in our homes. We organize. We put things away when we're done with them. We use quiet voices. A home is not the same as a playground. It's not the same as a park. And so children in the Montessori environment really do lessons of grace and courtesy and respect and practice. They really do learn to be independent, calm, and happy. And children are really happy when there's expectations and there are consistent routines and consistent expectations. And that's something that our teachers are very good at initiating and facilitating and teaching. And sometimes we have to teach those lessons over and over and over again. But the payoff is so beautiful and strong. We often hear families share stories of, oh my goodness, at home, when they didn't used to do this and now they do this. Or when they're at grandma's house, they used to not do this, but now they do. Or when they're out in public. And families say, people comment on our children, their vocabulary, their politeness, their independence, their vocabulary in new situations as well as when they're talking to their friends. So we do like to really celebrate those milestones that children reach in their vocabulary, in their academics, in their social skills, in their own self-esteem and how they see themselves, because Montessori really is a total child experience.
Wow, I really
That was a lot. I'm sorry.
No, I'm loving it. I'm taking mental notes because I love the feedback of what the parents are saying about the respect of the children, the way they're learning, the way they're developing. And to your first point of learning hands-on versus first before pen to paper or pencil to paper.
Exactly.
I think it is beautiful because you're creating meaning and emotion into learning.
Absolutely.
Before it's just like boring pen to paper, that's really cool how you guys are doing that. So with what the parents are saying and all that feedback you guys are getting, do you guys measure this long term of what is the impact of a child that goes through Montessori education as they're, a little versus how does that impact them long term?
Long term, that is such a wonderful question. The research behind Montessori, and there's a lot of it, really supports the benefits of Montessori long term. We see gains with independence, self-esteem, curiosity, self-determination, a clearer path and purpose as they pursue their lifelong goals in high school and beyond. There are a lot of communities, not only in the United States, but around the world that have pre-K through high school Montessori. So we see students in high school who are far beyond the academic tasks. They're actually in the real world solving problems. They're using their skills to do studies of habitats or to solve problems with housing or homelessness. They're working with teams in the community. They're using their collaboration skills, communication skills, their Everything that they've learned to be curious and to apply skills, they're using in the real world as part of their high school experience, which prepares them beautifully for either college or entering the workforce or taking a gap year and then serving abroad. When we look at people from our American history and world history, so many successful leaders who have gone on to be wonderful at developing and innovating and collaborating on the world stage have come from a Montessori background. For our own Montessori community, we really enjoy the relationships we have with our graduates. We have students who come back years later with their families and visit the school and talk to us. It's wonderful to see and hear about their own journeys and their own stories. And whether a student stays in Montessori for kindergarten or elementary, we hear wonderful examples of how when they move on to perhaps a public school or maybe another private school, that they bring with them those lessons of grace and courtesy and independence and a thirst for knowledge. It's just really, we're very proud of our students, and we truly do just love them, and we just hope the best for them for their entire life.
Did you know that medical expenses are the #1 cause of bankruptcy? If you want to help an individual or family experiencing a health crisis, loss of life, or other trauma, head to lendahandup.org to support a neighbor in need today. If you want to learn more about the silent epidemic of digital addiction, learn to spot the warning signs of child sexual abuse, or are interested in starting a charitable fund for a cause you're passionate about, head to dacmed.org today. Yes, well, that's so great to hear. So what does it look like? What are you guys incorporating into your classroom? I know you talked about how it's a very natural experience, natural lighting, there's no plastics, things like that. On that topic, how are you guys incorporating like different social norm topics like nutrition or phone use? Like, what does that classroom experience look like?
Boy, you ask such good questions.
I know. I want it all.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So in Montessori, there is the traditional approach of very hands-on approach to teaching that's low tech. I do believe that we are seeing a shift in that, and maybe that's a good thing, because we do live in a world where technology is part of daily lives, and it's going to continue to be so. Currently in our Montessori schools, we do not have televisions. We don't have any screen time at all, and we don't use telephones. We will occasionally pull up a video if we're teaching about a concept that children would benefit from seeing something or hearing something, especially if we're talking about something global, animals that they've never seen or heard. We want to augment their learning the best we can. And we do work with parents on topics related to what's best for children developmentally. We just surveyed families actually to ask about what kind of parent workshop topics they'd like us to support them in. And one of the topics that we suggested was healthy screen time. And a number of parents were interested in that. And so we're developing resources around that. A lot of families are seeking resources on how to support their child's mental health, how to support their child's behavioral health, how to support their child's thirst for knowledge outside of school, and how they can support their child's learning at home and in the community. So we address those through different ways. We've got newsletters and Seesaw and different other approaches and workshops and so forth, because we really do believe in that parent-child-teacher relationship. And if we can augment or support what's happening at home, and vice versa, what families are interested in, we want to fold into the classroom as well. As far as social norms, in the Montessori environment, we really do focus a great deal on the individual experiences of a child. And we have to know and understand that developmentally, children they're just learning who they are. They're learning how language works to have their needs met, both social or nutrition, or if they want to do a work, but it's either too easy or too hard for them. What is their language? What is their behavior showing us? And so we're constantly observing and making those decisions. What does a child need at this moment? What skill do they need to be taught? What is the next step in their learning for them to be the most happy and the most successful they can be? So having said that, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds naturally need a lot of instruction on navigating those social norms and expectations. It's a little bit like code switching for adults. we might act a certain way at home that we wouldn't at work, or we wouldn't in a coffee house or in another public environment. Children come to school, it's a new environment. The peers are not their siblings. The teachers are not their parents. There might be some similar expectations. There might be differences. And so we shepherd them as they cross that bridge to help them so they can be successful in other environments too. We want them to have the social skills, the vocabulary, the habits that will help them to be successful in as many places as they interact.
Yes. Well, this is wonderful for parents listening to just get a little bit more insight of what Montessori education looks like, how you guys function, what the classroom experience is. So for anyone that's interested and they want to know more, what is that first step to get involved with you guys, or how do they get their kids involved?
Sure. Thank you. We have a website out there like everyone does. It's fargomontessori.com. There's a lot of information on there about our program. There's pictures of children at work and play. There's contact information for all the schools. I will say our infant center, I think, is full for the next 2 years. So sad news if families are looking at our infant center, but I think there's some other really wonderful options in our community. If families are interested in summer or fall, we are currently enrolling our current families, and registration for new families does open up this Friday. So if they're interested, they can check out the website. The phone numbers and the email addresses for all of the schools are provided on our website, and they can also email me at fargomontessori@gmail.com.
Okay, wonderful. So
Thank you.
With that, for anyone listening, how can they get involved and support you, whether they have a child right now or not? How can they just get involved?
Well, we do have some community events that we sponsor throughout the year, and we sometimes open that up to the public. And we also invite people to, if they want to just tour the school and learn more about our resources, again, they can reach out to me. On our website, if families or community members who maybe don't have children of school age right now or in early childhood, but they want to support our work, we do have a donation page on our homepage. We also have some books that I've written that if folks want to order them, they're on Amazon. They are on early childhood concepts, but using the Montessori principles. There's one book on shapes around us. There's one on colors around us. And there's a beautiful book on land, water, air of North America. All proceeds for those books go directly into scholarship funds.
Wow, very cool.
So you can support children attending the school and have wonderful books for your family or gifts for others.
Wow, that's very, very cool. I might have to look into that.
Thank you.
So I'm curious. I want to open up the floor for you. Is there anything that you wanted to share today that you didn't get to share, or is there any burning question you have that you want me to ask?
I just want to thank you for this opportunity, first of all. I do believe that Fargo-Moorhead has some wonderful early ed experiences. And I know as our profession grows and as the need for quality early ed continues to come to the forefront of parent conversations and families who are seeking high quality early education, I just want to say I'm really proud to be part of that group of people who are necessary, they are valued. Early educators often maybe don't get the respect that other professions perhaps receive in light of what we're seeing in different communities. The resources aren't always available. I would just love to see everybody just celebrate their early educators and thank them and thank them and thank them. And whatever early education business or school or preschool that their child attends, I would just really encourage them to reach out to the directors and say, hey, thank you. And hey, how can I help? We ourselves have ongoing fundraising efforts, and we would love someday to have enough capital to build a small campus. So we didn't have 4 locations. We'd love to have one beautiful location. Reach out and support your early educators, respect the profession, thank those folks who are, with these children all day and loving them and teaching them and supporting them. And I'm just honored to be part of part of the effort to really bring the best that we can to North Dakota families.
Yes, well, that's great. And I just want to stop and say thank you to you for
You're welcome.
just being here today, but also just pouring into the next generation and just your passion to start Children's Montessori in Fargo and fill this need that we have for early education. And so thank you for that. And my last question for you is, what is your hope for the future of the next generation?
The next generation of children?
Yes.
I want them to have a safe world. I want them to have a world where they are respected, where they're treasured, where they can thrive, where their intellect is recognized and celebrated, and where they're provided with beautiful, safe learning environments, highly prepared teachers, professional teachers who value children and families. And this to me would be such a gift that we can give our children. And I want teachers to stay in the profession that I want them to just jump in with, both feet and really, really immerse themselves in the science of teaching and really celebrate that children are so very capable. And I want teachers and children to have the best experience for the next 100 years.
Yes. Well, Camille, thank you again for sitting down today. So wonderful to hear from you and just
thank you.
The Montessori education, getting to learn more about it, but also then hear your dreams of hopefully having a campus to serve more kids.
Wouldn't that be great?
Oh my gosh.
My gosh. And I wish it could be free for everybody. I mean, we're affordable. Our tuition is very much on par with everyone else in the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo community. But boy, I would love if our preschool could be free to everybody. I wish that was possible.
Yes.
But for now, we're just happy for the resources that the state's providing, and we're happy for just all the continued support of all the families in our community.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing, and thanks again for being here.
Thanks for having me. I so appreciate you, and I so appreciate the Dakota Medical Foundation. What an amazing resource for our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we look forward to following you guys along and seeing what you guys do next.
Thank you.
Thanks. Childhood education is so important, and there are many options out there for a child to learn and thrive. It was so fun to hear from Camille today as she told us all about the Montessori education and what that looks like. I loved how she pointed out that they allow their students to come to their own understandings in their own time. And they start with those hands-on activities for a lesson long before the kids are getting that paper to pencil tasks. Versus in the traditional education model, they start with the paper and the pencil tasks, and they use those hands-on activities to add to the lesson afterwards. There are so many things to consider when looking into childhood education, and I hope you learned something new today about the Montessori education model. If you're looking to dive deeper into Montessori, don't forget to check out their website at fargomontessori.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for listening. We really hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you next time on the DMF podcast. And remember, we are called to serve.